And we're live. This is Mahabali from Cairo, Egypt. I'm the co-founder of Virtually Connecting, and we're virtually connecting with the Eden Conference in Sweden. I'll ask the folks on site to introduce themselves, and then the virtual folks. Go ahead, Christina.
Hi, I am Christina Tatri. I work for Eden, and I have gathered for you three very interesting people for this little Virtually Connecting session. First off, we have Steve Weaver here.
Hi, everyone.
And we have Ignatius Gous.
Yeah,
very good. Hello, I'm from South Africa.
Managed to pronounce. And we have Caroline Kuhn with us as well.
Yes, hello, how are you? Very happy to be here connecting with you over there.
Okay, and virtually I'll ask Helen and then Deborah and then Penny to introduce themselves, and Leo's going to type something up and I'll say it out loud because he can't use his mic. Go ahead, Helen.
Okay, hi, Helen DeWard. I'm in Central Ontario in Canada. Beautiful sunny morning starting today. And I'm very happy to meet Steve. I've been shamelessly using your information and your blog for a number of years.
See you.
Okay, I think it's my turn now. Hello, Deborah Arnold, an English woman in France, as I put in the chat earlier. Former Eden Vice President, and missing my first Eden conference since 2005. So yeah, so this is a great opportunity to be virtually connected to everybody.
And Penny?
Hi everyone, Penny Bentley here from Melbourne, Australia. It's a cold night tonight, but nice and warm by the fire. I'm a PhD student at the University of Southern Queensland and look in my final year, so I've got about 8 months to go. Looking forward to the chat tonight. Thanks, Maha.
And Leo Haveman is in London, and he's just lurking in the chat for now, and he's really looking forward to hearing about the conference. He'll ask questions on the chat, and we'll say those out loud. And he says a special hi to Caroline. And we just noticed on Twitter that Steve just got the Senior Fellow Award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we have Deborah, who got it recently as well. So we have a lot of valuable Eden community members here today. So tell us, how's the conference been so far? What are some of the highlights for you? And then I'll open the floor for other virtual folks to ask questions.
Who wants to go first? So I go first? Well, this is another Eden event for me. I started coming in 1996, all the way back then when I went to Poitiers in France, and I was just blown away then by the kind of the diversity and the vast community of people from all over the world who just wanted to come, not just Europeans. And the theme of this conference today and this week in Jönköping in Sweden is about diversity. So we've been celebrating a whole range of ideas around diversity and inclusion, and I did some wonderful interviews with some of the keynotes yesterday. I did 5 interviews with keynotes yesterday, which will be appearing on YouTube in the coming weeks. All around the theme of diversity and how technology and other forms of pedagogy related, in education can actually support and encourage and indeed celebrate diversity across all forms of community and ethnicity and cultures and so on. And that for me is a really valuable theme, and I've really been enjoying engaging with people over that. And that's all I'll say for now, and I'll hand over to Ignatius.
Coming from South Africa, the outpost or whatever, my experience also working in the field of mind-bringing education science is that we've got diversity as a kind of a superstructure, but underneath we've got a unity in humanity in terms of the way that we think about learning, the way that we access the knowledge, that we crave for something that is meaningful. And in that sense, coming here from very far, I experienced that all the different peoples are actually quite similar.
Well, I have to make a confession here publicly. I have a crush on Ignatius. What he just said is just too brilliant, and his presentation yesterday was as brilliant as his comment today. So just to say, it has been for me the first time in Eden. and I'm really amazed by, one, the difference with OER, I think is really different. But in a way, the diversity theme, I think it makes it similar in a way, and it's beautiful how everyone is just kind of weaving that piece of fabric with this common thread of diversity, and you can see it in all the presentations, and a lot of also interesting policy talks about open education, which has been very interesting, and little about students. So there is, I haven't heard any research done putting students' voice in relation with open and technology. So I'm really happy to talk about that today, because I'm talking about students' voice. So I think it has been a great experience, really, and Jönköping, and beautiful town, and people very welcoming. So great experience, I have to say, really. Yeah, very good.
Leo has a question he wrote in the chat. He said that Caroline tweeted something from a session earlier mentioning open education literacies, and he's interested in hearing a little bit more about that.
Well, the presentation was really fast. All the presentations are so dense. They have so much to say. So they just, touch on, but I think there is an idea. Fabio was talking yesterday in his talk about this need of opening I think the range, and also the conception about what is digital literacies in this kind of open, unbounded spaces. And there are not any more competencies. I think they should be envisioned as social practices, because it would give it more richness. And there is a problem, in my view, and hearing at today's presentation, is about people wanting to assess and account for those social practices, which is quite difficult. So I think the change needs to come from the assessment. How are we assessing it, and do we really need to assess it? And yeah, that's what I can say about that, Leo. Lovely to see you in the chat, Leo.
Penny here, just jumping in for a sec about assessment. I know it's slightly different, but I'm a secondary teacher. I don't teach at the moment, but every year I have to register to the professional learning that I do in order to teach, to get my registration. And I used to use my blog for that. So if I was audited, I would send a link in as evidence of my professional learning, would be my blog posts and reflections and things like that. So even though it wasn't being used for assessment, it was used to validate the fact that I was doing some professional learning. And maybe that's the whole idea behind e-portfolios and blogs and things like that.
I think for me, blogging and other forms of putting your ideas out into the Twitter sphere, or whatever you're going to call it, it's about performing your learning. And I think we should be doing more of that as educators, because an educator that's connected is much better informed than an educator who is isolated. And I think we've all got a lot to share with each other. We can all learn from each other. We can all co-construct meaning and knowledge together. And I think that these forms of dissemination that you've mentioned are perfect for educators to use.
I've been thinking recently that people who aren't like us, who aren't this connected, and they look at the amount of time we spend doing the work of connecting, don't realize how much investment you need to make to be able to benefit from it. So I mean, right now, if I need anything, and Penny was just saying that for her PhD, it's quite easy for me to find the right person to help me with a particular thing, or to just put it out on Twitter and someone will connect me to someone else. But you can't just go in once a week and do that. It takes a lot of giving and taking and interacting and doing a lot of private work and a lot of social work, not just academic, to reach that stage and to comfortably be able to use your network that way. And I just wish there was a way for us to just make that clear to people who aren't us, so they can still appreciate what we're doing and not feel like we're wasting our time, or, Helen, you look like you want to say something. I don't want to put you on the spot.
I'm just agreeing with Leo's comment about people just seeing it as self-promotion, and it's not about that at all.
No, absolutely not. It's about sharing and about it's being part of the community, isn't it? It's about raising your own, not just your own profile, raising the profile of the knowledge that you want to help other people to understand. And I think that's it's not you know, self-centered. It's not self-promotion. It's much more altruistic than that, I think.
And I have a hard time convincing teacher candidates sometimes that they have to take that step into social media spaces, blogging and Twitter, in order to connect with others who may have similar interests, who may have similar issues and problems. And if you don't talk to somebody about it, it just gets worse.
Just two comments. One about the self-promotion. I think that brings us back to the relationship. It can appear to be self-promotion if you don't engage in that relationship. So it's a balance between that give and take. And the other thing, Leo, I wanted to say to you about hashtags. I found that in my research and my personal experience that I'm likely to get more help if I use a hashtag rather than just put out a request into my network. So I think a clever use of hashtags can help you build your network very quickly.
Mind expert here. If I can talk about hashtags and classification and the power of that.
You see, what's interesting to me is that is, say, human development. And when you are born into a kind of a level of having access to all kinds of technologies. So you don't have to walk the whole history of humankind from the wheel up till now. So there you slot in where you are being born. But as a human person, you still have to walk the whole journey yourself. And in that sense, it makes a hang of a lot of sense to be able to be helped very quickly. And in that sense, I think the internet and the social blogging and all those kind of things is extremely helpful. Because if you have a look at what's happening throughout the history with myths and with books and with stories, that is almost like you have a flight simulator to help you to fly a plane without having to kill a lot of people because you can't do it. Stories and all of this those are life simulators, which will help you to try out life without having to do too much damage to yourself and others. And I think in that sense, the social sphere is extremely helpful to people.
And if I can just add that I think that a comment you made earlier on, I think it was Penny that made the comment earlier on about responding or engaging, interacting. That's important, because if you just put your blogs out there, and if you just put your journal articles out there, and if you just put your tweets out there without responding to anyone, without engaging, then I think that is quite self-serving. But if you engage and you get into this discursive kind of element of knowledge management and knowledge making, then I think we're all going to benefit from that.
I just want to say something practical that happened to me. I hated Twitter, really, when I was in my country. I'm originally from Venezuela. I'm a very private person and very discreet, so I never liked this exposing things in Twitter. And I suddenly left my country and went me by myself to a foreign space where I didn't know anyone. And I said to myself, either I die or I reach out for people. And I then realized Twitter is a tool that would help me to create a network of people that if I fall somewhere in this place where I really don't have anyone, I would be supported. And it has been the most incredible space where I have been held, although it's not neither my country nor my continent. So I do think that it is not self-promotion. I think it is bonding persons and individuals together and holding each other in this scary open space. So yeah, nothing about self-promotion, which I don't like.
Yeah, of course. And especially that a lot of us, and maybe, I mean, I think a lot of us are in that situation where there aren't a lot of people in your local context, whether in your institution or maybe even in your city, that are working on the same thing that you're working on. And this is your opportunity to sort of connect with them. I don't know if Eden because Eden is not just going, can you tell us a little bit more about like what they do? to help people connect? Do they have like special interest groups and things like that, or?
Well, as the outgoing NAP chair, NAP stands for the Network of Academics and Professionals. I'm just about to come to an end of the 3-year term leading that group of just over 2,000 individuals, all interested in learning technology and distance education, e-learning. That is one element of how Eden supports the community, but there are other elements as well. We have various meetings, and we have various things like Eden Chats, which is a Twitter discussion every 2 weeks. We have webinars, which anyone can join in with. We have the YouTube videos, of course. There's a whole lot of stuff going on in the back channels behind the main conferences as well. So it becomes a community of sharing, and a community of practice, where everybody is working towards the same end of raising the profile of new forms of education which are available to everybody. And I think that hopefully will answer part of your question.
And is it, I mean, I know Ignatius is from South Africa, so, and you said there are people from all over the world. So I think I'm signed up to one of the mailing lists, but I wanted to know if there was like institutional memberships, or is it individual memberships to be part of Eden?
There are both. You can have an individual membership. I am too as well. Or if your organization is a member or becomes a member, then it can allow many employees from, I think, is it 20? I think. Is it the limit? It's something like 10 or 20 employees can actually come and take part in an event and become institutional members as a result of
And they don't have to be European institutions?
No, they don't. It's mainly European, but that's where it started, and we've got that in our title. But it's a worldwide organization now of practitioners and professionals.
Awesome. That's great.
We have members from all across the world. So if you go to our website and look at the list of members, there are institutions from South America, there are Australian partners. So yeah, basically all over the world right now.
Great. Okay, I know you guys, I think you're in your lunch hour, and I don't want to keep you. Just let us know when you have to leave. If you can stay 5 more minutes, that's fine. If you have to go, that's also fine.
Because I've got to go and get some lunch and then go and interview some keynotes. So it's good. But so I'll have to love you and leave you. But it's great seeing you all, everyone, and great to see you again, Leah. And I think our last meeting was one of these virtually connectings as well. But nice to see you all, and I'll be saying goodbye for now. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for virtually connecting us.
Bye, Maha, and bye, everyone. Leo. Penny, I did say hello to your supervisor. I saw her just now.
Cool.
Bye.
Very cool. Okay, just think before we go offline. Deborah, you're unmuted, so I think maybe you want to say something?
No, it was just that now that everybody's gone, I thought we were all saying goodbye to each other.
Okay. All right, so if nobody wants to add anything, I'll stop the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us.